Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Mick.
Yeah. So, you know how we say that if we ever make a mistake, we would definitely come clean on it?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Why not?
So, the Chris Broderick show. Yeah, I kind of made a mistake.
Okay.
It happens. One of the guitar players for Megadeth, I called him Chris Pollock.
Okay.
His name is Chris Poland, and I killed him off. I said he died of a substance abuse overdose, I guess, something like that. And, well, it's Chris Poland, and he's very much alive, and I would like to apologize to Chris personally and say, I'm sorry for killing you off. I got my stuff wrong. Nobody's ever died in Megadeth.
I'm happy that he's alive again.
I don't know where. Okay, so here's
maybe there's someone with a similar name that we knew of or heard of or read of or something.
Actually, here's what happened. I saw the behind the scenes, the VH1 thing.
Okay.
Real quick. Saw that I thought he died.
Okay.
And it was just that I think he left the band, he came back, and Dave had an issue with substance abuse, and then he was gone. And I think it was a close friend or something to that nature.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Glad he's alive.
Yes.
Still alive and well, hopefully. And
I apologize. I really do. Maybe we can have Chris on the show. Get the early days of Megadeth.
That would be awesome.
That would be kind of different. The Peace Sells era, the first album, right after Dave had, gotten thrown out of Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that might be something. Chris, if you listen to this,
right,
our good buddies at Alchemy Audio, they were the ones who corrected me on Facebook, and I said, "Don't worry, it'll definitely happen again."
But we'll correct this one at least.
Exactly.
So, well, good on you for correcting.
Well,
and glad he's still alive and hopefully playing. And it'd be great if we could have him on the show. And the early days would be cool.
I'll just stay silent.
Don't do that. There will be no controversy then.
So I guess we ought to begin this show.
I guess we might. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino.
Oh, it's warm.
Just a little bit. It is.
That giant ball outside is hot as hell.
It is, and it's. We're just touching summer.
Yeah, I know.
And it's wow.
Just a little kiss.
It is, but
yeah.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it.
And you know what else I'll take?
What?
The awesome downloads that our listeners are giving us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We will take our audience.
Yes.
And thank them. So,
yes,
for sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And thanks for clicking through on the banner, the Amazon banner on our webpage, ampsandaccesscast.com.
That's right.
Of course, definitely check out all those little social media little icons on the right-hand side.
Little button.
Yes, and if you follow us on Instagram, you get a follow back. And, we want to get those numbers up. Of course, go out to iTunes, give us the 5 stars.
5-star. We love those 5 stars.
Love that. And you got to check out our buddy
Jason Sudeikis.
Yes.
That's it.
The Quick Lick.
Quick Lick. Mr. Quick Lick himself.
It's Quick Lick, but you're not learning it quick.
No. he can play them quick.
Uh-huh.
He can come up with them quick. He can play them quick, but you ain't learning them quick.
You take the time and learn it. You'll be like Jason.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Man.
Thank you, Jason. So it's great.
Can't imagine. What else? Anything else?
No, I think we covered all the bases. But hey, tell a friend.
Oh yeah. Spread the word.
Spread the word. Spread the word.
Without
tell
you guys spreading the word, we just, like I said, we just talk on expensive equipment.
Right, and make sure you tell your friend it's free.
Yeah.
Just go listen, man. Check these guys out.
Yeah.
And you'll probably like it because most people do.
We got some cool episodes back there, man.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
We've interviewed some, all kinds of aspects of the music business.
Yeah, and we keep trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
We do keep trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
We probably have more players than anything else, but
That's
builders, engineers, producers, techs,
Yeah.
And if you've got the name of somebody you'd really, like to hear on the show, let us know.
Yeah, and we've had a couple people do that already.
Absolutely, we have.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't, I've been trying to get certain people, and it's just like, they put enough people in place that you can't get to them.
A little difficult to get to them
just sometimes,
But sometimes we have great success.
Oh, yeah.
And
and then I go, how the hell we get?
And people are calling us and go, hey, can I get my guy on? So,
yeah.
So yeah,
it's good stuff.
It is. It's all good stuff. So tell a friend and tell the killer player that that he should be on.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
So I listened to other podcasts, and I was listening to Eddie Trunk.
You traitor.
Oh, I try.
Okay.
And they had Sammy Hagar on.
The Red Rocker.
Yes. He's like almost 70. He's like 67 years old.
Wow.
He looks great.
No lie.
Yeah. I think tequila is the
I was just going to say, it's,
yeah.
3 cheers for agave.
Yeah. So, the conversation that was in there, and we were discussing a little bit before the show, he was talking about his bar, he was talking about all his stuff, but one of the things that he was talking about that I was like, wow, man, this is really some ballsy stuff on the Van Halen brothers' part. Of course, we'll have Eddie Van Halen on if he wants to come on. But
any day now.
Is that I noticed that, what Sammy was saying is that he has Michael Anthony in his band.
Yes.
And he has Jason Bonham in his band.
Yes.
Okay. And his guitar player is the guy that he's had for like 20 years with the Cabo Wabo.
Right.
Band.
Bald guy.
Yeah,
right?
bald guy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
I think he's a PRS user, believe it or not. So anyway, he was talking that the Van Halen brothers are actually they're coming at him with lawyers to prevent him from playing the Van Halen stuff that he co-wrote.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to countersue and tell Eddie that he can't play him either.
Well, they can't. See, that's the thing. Roth doesn't have the ability to play to sing those songs.
Yeah, okay.
Roth is having trouble singing the stuff that he actually sang.
Yes.
So the Van Halen brothers, they've kind of gotten I don't know.
Nervous?
I don't know if it's a nervous thing or if it's, how do I... It's sort of like, when Sony sued that lady
Sony, right.
It was a restaurant in Philadelphia. It was like a diner.
One little restaurant.
And put her out of business.
Right.
And then she ended up dying.
And it was her name.
And she ended up dying from it.
Really?
Like the stress, she had a heart attack and dropped dead.
Wow.
I'm probably wrong.
She's still alive.
I'm good at killing people now. So anyway, I think I heard that correctly. But anyway,
I do remember them suing this one little tiny
restaurant. They put her
restaurant.
out of business.
Yeah, I mean, even though it was her name, it wasn't
it was spelled different. It was Sony's, but it was different. I don't think even was.
I don't know.
I think it was IES or something.
I mean, you figure Sony's would have sued her because they both sell food.
Yeah.
It's like Sony doesn't sell food; they sell audio equipment.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
It's like weird.
So anyway, they've kind of taken this whole corporate type thing a little bit. The Van Halen brothers.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they're kind of mad. I mean, it must be the Michael Anthony thing is what I'm thinking. And it could be because, if you ever read Sammy's book, he kind of really tells the story about what was happening with Eddie at the time when he was like no teeth in his head. He hadn't showered for like 3 months. He was wearing shoes that were covered in duct tape. This is while they were on their last tour.
Wow.
And, he had in bad shape.
He was in bad shape.
I mean, he was like a lunatic. You know, they would have interviews with him, and he was just the most bizarre stuff ever. Now, obviously, he's gotten his stuff together.
He did a fantastic Smithsonian interview.
Oh, yeah, it was perfect. And I think because...
Exactly. It was perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. So
a couple of grains of salt there, maybe.
But, you know, it's kind of weird how... And I don't know if Alex is behind this or not, but they kind of... It's like now it's like a corporation. And now they're, well, you're not in the band anymore. You can't play those songs. And Sammy's like, wait a minute. I wrote the melodies, and I wrote every lyric.
I co-wrote these songs,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
And, of course, they got the other half of the band.
Michael
He
Anthony.
has the other half of the band, Michael Anthony.
And supposedly Eddie was really bad-mouthing Michael.
Michael has something to prove to them because supposedly the way Sammy sang it, now, of course, everybody talks about their band as being the best band out there. But Sammy said that with having Jason and his guitar player, who's a very good guy, and I forget his name, they say they're doing the Van Halen songs that Sammy and Michael were on better than the brothers.
Well, I think Bonham is equally as good a drummer. They're definitely on par with each other. You've got the real Michael harmonies.
Yeah, which can't be done by anybody.
No, it's like that
tried.
really made those vocals.
That was Van Halen.
Yeah. So he's so lucky to have Michael.
And here's the thing: Jason is a very accomplished drummer now. They said there was a time when he was so far off the wagon, he was a mess. Beyond a mess. He was like going down his dad's road.
That was when he was out with Bonham. I actually saw that, and around that time he was living the ultimate consummate rock and roll lifestyle. Shall we say?
Yeah, and so he got himself back together.
Oh, for sure.
And when, they're doing the Van Halen stuff, he's explaining to Sammy, because Alex was a huge John Bonham fan and patterned himself off of that. A lot of people did back then.
Sure.
And, so Jason sees it and he goes, oh, yeah, I know exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying to do this, what my dad used to do. And it's like, he's now got this, he's got this little ace in the hole for his drummer. And he's got the original backup singer / bass player who he said Michael was just bringing it to no end, even on the bass, because he's got something to prove. These guys basically shunned him out of the reunion because of him playing with Sammy.
Yeah.
In the off time.
Right.
It wasn't like he was doing it, and it conflicted. He was actually available to go back out with Van Halen. And they said, no, you're playing with Sammy. We don't like Sammy, so you can't be in the band.
Play nice, boys. I mean, really, play nice.
It's weird because, any one of these five guys, talking about Sammy, Michael, and the Van Halen brothers, and Dave, could buy a small country if they wanted to off of the royalties that these cats have made.
Probably.
Sammy Hagar is one of these guys, and I won't delve on this too long, but Sammy Hagar, I read his book. He owned a company that did like mountain bikes. He was fully invested in this before this stuff ever took off. And he sold this company for some outrageous amount of money.
Wow.
Like, probably made more money doing that than the album sales that together with all three bands, Montrose, Sammy Hagar, and Van Halen. Because, that's a huge industry.
Oh, yeah.
That's, and when you got guys like Lance Armstrong.
He's been into sports and liquor, it's like, geez.
Yeah. And the thing is that he doesn't disclose the name of the company in that book, but a lot of speculation is that it was Trek.
Oh, really?
And Trek is what Lance Armstrong used. And of course, they're like one of the top dogs.
The state of the art stuff.
They're the ones that have they have millions of dollars of R&D,
right?
And they literally are like the cutting edge all the time.
Yeah.
So these are people that don't need cash.
No.
And it just cracks me up that they would go over that petty stuff just because, you know, he said something in a book, whatever.
You're right.
I mean, you know, part of that whole rehab thing too is that you kind of just come out and admit it. You know, that's how you get through your stuff. And I'm thinking if Eddie's going through this rehab thing, or did, he would be like, yeah, I was a mess.
Right.
Let's keep playing.
You really don't hear too much of him saying anything like that. No.
You know, that whole camp, I mean, even when Roth came back that very, very first time on MTV, Eddie had to get his hip replaced. And supposedly Roth turned to him and goes, tonight's not about your fucking hip. And that was what killed it. It never got off the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. That's where the famous interview on MTV where he said, if he ever says that to me again, he better be wearing a cup. And that was Eddie saying that to Dave.
To Dave.
Yeah, Dave, the guy who's like, I don't know, a shaman in freaking samurai, whatever kind of martial arts. And the guy
is he really?
Oh my God. He's like I mean, you have to research it. I don't know what it is, but it's all swords. It's like almost kung fu-ish type thing.
Wow.
David Lee Roth is like a rubber band at 60-some years old. And, you know, I've seen him live on the last tour. The guy is everywhere. And, of course, he wields a bar around that could dismember some audience member.
You know, I'm looking at that going, and he's whacked himself with the mic stand. How, you know, I guess it's a good thing it wasn't a samurai sword.
Yeah, you know? But he does that live. You know, he brings it out, and he's got the trailing things on it, and he does this whole kata type thing. And
gee, I thought he just played one on TV.
So, I seen a whole thing where he does it. He has a video. It's pretty good. He has a video on Dave TV, which is his little channel.
All Dave, all night.
Yeah, and he actually takes you into the dojo, something that they don't ever allow. He takes you in there, and you see him learning from this little old Asian guy that's probably more deadly than, you know. And yeah, I mean, that's what he's been doing his whole career.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's why he does all those high kicks and all. That's all part of it. So, I mean,
to me, it just looks like he tries to do them. I'm sorry. You know, it just...
yeah, whatever. I mean, you know.
Personally, I'm finding it a little difficult to believe, but, you know, hey, what...
When you have...
all I know is I probably couldn't do it, so good on you.
Well, I look at it this way, is that there should never be a person that's on the silver screen that has any kind of clout, let's just say. Let's go B and up. B actor and up should never have a weight problem. Because they should have a personal trainer that's getting them up at 4 a.m. every day to make sure that they, you know.
Well, you know.
That's me personally. Because if I was
Sammy's obviously got something going on because he looks good as hell.
Well, he's also a boxer.
Yeah.
You know, Sammy is like a Golden Gloves kind of guy.
Yeah. That I believe.
Yeah, and
that
still
totally
to this day,
believe.
man, he can rock you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't lose that, but...
I guess, and you know, I heard some of it. That band is great, man. I mean, and they go all over. I mean, they do the Montrose stuff.
They do the Hagar. They do the Van Hagar, and they got this new Circle stuff that they're coming out with now. So
yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, they even do Led Zeppelin, and I heard they do it very well.
Well, you know, at least the drum part's going to be cool.
Yeah, in there. And one last thing before we go to our guest, they talk about Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones they still want to put that thing together with Jason and go out. They can't get Plant on board. So they actually looked at Steven Tyler. Why? I have no idea.
Weird.
And so then Eddie Trunk said to Sammy, why don't you just talk to Jason and get Jimmy to talk to you and you do it? And I'm like, oh, that would be different.
That could work.
But he can do
Yes.
he can do that range. That's the thing.
Right. That could work.
I don't yeah.
Vocally, it could work.
It starts to get like The Who. You know what I mean? Eventually, it'll be 2 guys or 4 guys that play the Who.
Well, then it's just a tribute band.
Well, you would think.
Right.
But I think Kiss is going down that road, too.
Yeah,
so
probably.
why not, right?
Yeah.
You can't have enough, I guess.
Well, I guess so. But they have to represent well. So
Exactly.
and speaking of representing well, that means you have to do it in the guitar realm as well as everything else. Every part's got to fit in, and we have a guest today that man, what a guitar player.
I would put this guy, because I've seen different styles from him, in that Guthrie Govan type class. Like you throw something at him and he throws it right back at you, and you go, so have you been doing that all your life, or is it just you just picked it up 20 minutes ago? Because it's crazy.
It really is. I've seen some videos, and it's like there must be 25 hours in the day, because I'm pretty sure that's how long he practices.
Well, Steve Vai gave this guy like the highest praise.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He said, if you want to check somebody out, this is the cat you want to check out.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a arpeggio shred kind of player, but he's different than most guys. He really struck me as just doing it his own way.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
I don't know what you would put on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's he's definitely got his own style, and he does more than a lot of these shred guys. And the tapping he does. There's more to his style than just that. It's really interesting, and he's really good.
And we need to come up with a little bit of a disclosure here. There's a little bit of a language barrier here.
Okay, well, he's straight from Italy.
Yes,
right?
And this may be a little bit of a stumbling a little bit in here. We're going to try. I talked to him personally already.
Okay,
and we talked, and we're going to make sure that he doesn't skip over stuff. And if we don't understand things, we're going to ask him if we get if he could repeat it or things like that. We've already had this conversation because I want to get the full story from the guy. But
right.
he's got a very thick accent, and hopefully our connection will be good, and we won't have any issues with that.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I just had to put that in there because
okay.
he very broken English, but a very nice guy.
Well, his guitar playing's not broken. That's damn sure.
That's one thing that you don't have to worry about.
I think he's got 12 fingers or something. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, we're going to take a break for a second, and then we'll be back with our guest of the week, Mr. Daniele Guitardo.
Hey, this is Jude Gold from Jefferson Starship, Guitar Player Magazine. You're listening to Amps and Axis.
Okay, and we're back. And as promised, our guest of the week, Mr. Daniele Guitardo. Daniele, thank you for being on with us.
Hi, guys. Thank you for including me in your badass show.
We have a badass show. Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, thank you so much. Wow, I was watching some of your playing on some YouTube clips, and you are an incredible player, my friend.
Thank you. I'm glad if you like my shit. It's correct in English.
Yes, that's correct in every language.
I love it.
That's correct.
Okay. Because I'm studying English. My English is not very good at all. It's very bad, and I need to use some slang for seems more realistic.
That's perfect. You can use all the slang you want. It's fine, but we totally get we totally get your point. And I mean, we'll definitely talk about your style and your equipment and everything else, because I want to know about all of it. But we always like to try to start and find out a little about the player, where the player came from and how they got into music. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Daniele and where you came from and how you got into music? Tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, I will try to explain using my few words I have in English,
It's all good.
Okay. In the beginning, I start to play with very few interest, because my dad is a guitar player, and he used to play guitar. Yes, and I started to play guitar. I started when I was around 14 years old.
Oh.
And was strange to me because if I remember that period, I wasn't interested at all in music. It was strange, but at that period I wasn't interested a lot in art, you know, especially in drawing, painting, things like that, decorative arts, you know, and I wasn't interested at all in music, and I was obsessed about that form of art, you know. Then casually I started to play open strings on guitar, but with a lot of distortion, you know.
Ah. You mentioned that your dad's guitarist was a guitarist. So first, let me. Where were you born?
Okay. I born in Italy.
Okay.
In a little town close to Venice.
Ah.
Very little town called Rovigo, and yes, in the north of Italy, you know.
Nice. Was your dad a musician in the town? Did he play locally or professionally?
Yeah, he plays locally, but not professionally.
Oh.
And he never tried to bring me to play guitar, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He played more like when he was more young, he has different bands, but in the last I think 25 years he plays more at home, you know, for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then he never tried to say, "Hey, Daniele, try to play guitar. Prova a suonare la chitarra." He never said, and because I was very interested in other things. But one day I said, "Okay, give me the guitar." He used a lot of effects, you know, a lot of distortion, a lot of delay. He likes a lot of. He mainly play rock blues style,
okay.
But he likes David Gilmour, sound like that.
Nice.
If my guitar I'm using now is the same guitar, is a Fender. If you saw some video on YouTube, sorry, is the same guitar, and is the guitar who I think how is called the guitar player of Pink Floyd? I'm not listening guitar players recently. You know, I forget all about guitar.
That would be Pink Floyd would be David Gilmour. David Gilmour, yes.
Exactly.
Or Snowy White.
Yes.
Tell me, man.
Snowy White was also.
He was like a rhythm guitar player.
He was this touring guitar player that went out with Pink Floyd for quite a while, and probably did some studio recording,
and probably covered all the overdubs.
Yes, exactly.
So the second guitar parts that you hear on the album that they couldn't produce live,
right? Yeah,
without him.
Right. Yeah. So he toured with them for quite a while. Yeah. Snowy White.
Yes.
Cool. But when Pink Floyd played in Venice, I remember David Gilmour has that guitar was a Fender
Stratocaster,
red Fender, you know, and it's the same, very similar to the guitar I'm using now.
Nice. And that was your dad's guitar?
Exactly. It was my dad's guitar, and like I said, one day casually I started to play open strings, but with a lot of distortion, you know. I said, cool. Then I started to play some lines, some melodic lines. It's cool because a lot of guitar players starts with chords, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I started immediately with single notes. I was interested by melodic lines, and I started to play a few notes around the neck. And after a couple of months, I discovered the chords.
Nice. You know, I mean, chords are nice, but melody is so very important to everything, every music, you know. And
to start there, you know, you're getting your voicings.
Right.
You know, you're not just learning these chords. he's getting all the finger stuff down, all those little small muscles and
right. Well, he's picking out the melodies and then kind of I'm assuming building the chords around them, and that's a interesting way to learn. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, and it was hilarious when I discovered like a D major in first position, with D open strings, and I say, "What the fuck is that chord?" Yes, it was impressive. I can play also different notes in the same moment. I said, "Cool," because I thought I was only able to play single notes, And my dad said, "No, you can also play notes together like chords."
Yeah, that's great. But you said your dad was a blues player, basically.
Yeah, basically blues. He plays also a little bit of country with acoustic guitar, but mainly blues. Yeah.
Wow. Now, were you running or figuring out melody lines from blues songs that your dad played, or you were more into the melodies and things of like Pink Floyd and that type of music?
I will tell you, the beginning was a very little licks, like couple of notes, because I wasn't totally able to play guitar. I remember I tried to play some tapping with thumb, not with the first finger.
Okay.
But it was very random, and I learned to play tapping only some years after. My first influence of music was where I started to play, when I started to love more the guitar, was the band Kiss, Ace Frehley.
Wow.
Really?
We've had quite a few people that have told us that Kiss was their biggest influence. That's crazy. They are worldwide.
And to see you play, that's the last person I would ever think would be the influence that you have.
Me too. Wow.
Yes, and Ace is still my heroes, my favorite guitar player ever.
Wow, that is so what we would call night and day. There's just
crazy.
Completely different types of playing, schools of methods. Wow, that's a little hard to believe.
That is wild.
That's crazy. But hey, whatever is the trigger. Whatever sets you in that.
Think about
music.
this. Eddie Van Halen, his biggest influence was Eric Clapton. There's no Eric Clapton in Eddie Van Halen's playing.
No, that's true.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of pentatonic.
Yeah.
But I understand.
Wow.
I think because I was very deep in painting in that period, and the Kiss was a very visual, with painting their face, and maybe I think also for other musicians, that band helped for introduce them into the music. I don't know if it makes sense, because my English is very bad, man.
No, I think it makes sense. I think it totally makes sense. I could see how you were looking at them for their artistic value as well as the music, and sure. If you were into art, it's like, well, these guys are making art on their faces, and this guy plays guitar, and that's cool. So you start following that. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, probably because I was totally not interested in music, and I think that things helped, for create like a bridge between different forms of art.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think also for other musicians, I know a lot of musicians who was inspired by Kiss for start to play. And I think that can be an interesting point.
Yeah. That's I really never looked at that as like a melding of art and music. I never looked at Kiss and associated them with art, but
Sure.
I guess
now it makes sense.
It makes sense now, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe well, I was thinking, especially I was like 14 years old. I was a little bit immature, Then also the music, that kind of music can help. Is not very
complicated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like screaming, It's not like 20th century music of the classical side of the music.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. You need to listen a lot before to understand the meaning. Ten Kiss was very helpful to me to start to approach to the music, and also there was the bridge between art, painting, that type of art and music. And then if in the beginning the guitar was only a very little hobby, Mm-hmm. I started to play like 10 minutes per day, Then listening that music, I start to be engaged on the guitar, and I start to love guitar and music, and little by little I develop my playing.
Well, they would be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And it's simple.
Right.
Their riffs are not difficult.
It's approachable. It's a style that's approachable.
Yeah. If you were going to start someplace, that's a really good starting place.
I think so too. I mean, I didn't realize how influential they were to people.
They were, during my generation, especially.
Yeah.
Think about it. In '75, that Kiss Alive album was the thing that really launched them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That was the big album, and Ace is not a shredder whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But his solos, he takes the blues rock thing and he kind of made these licks his own. And even though they're not blazing, they are kind of creative. I think Ace.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Ace Frehley.
And also.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry.
I was going to say Ace Frehley was a key component to that band and their early success.
Mm-hmm.
Because Paul Stanley, he was a singer and an okay rhythm player. He wasn't, he was not a lead player whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene Simmons, he wrote a couple songs, but Ace's guitar, those solos, they just fit.
Right. And I think there's probably a good bit of melody of,
Oh yeah.
In the development of those solos,
Sure.
he's like
very simplistic, but very
yes. Well, see, we always talk about like, a good solo is something you can walk away singing or humming,
Absolutely.
and that's what makes it memorable.
You can think of the Rock and Roll All Night solo right now,
mm-hmm.
and almost be able to recite it.
Yeah, it's
I think one of the best solo of Ace is in Firehouse.
Yeah.
It's a very old song on, I think, maybe the first album.
Yeah, well, it's on
Kiss 74.
Yeah, it's on Kiss Alive.
And I think you said a very interesting things about the sort of Ace, not only melodic, and with bluesy
mm-hmm.
things, talks from Jimmy Page, of course, who was a big influence, but a very important things about solo and the jazz musician talks always about that is, okay, you can't have also very good lines, but if your solo is not, the development of the solo is not good,
mm-hmm.
the solo, you can also have a great idea, but it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Ace has not too much elements for creating his solo, but how the disposition of those elements, in this case the licks, in a structure, was very good. And now, after a lot of years, after 15 years, maybe more, and I can understand why the solo of Ace was very cool. I can remember also after more than 15 years. because it was very melodically, but also he was very good in the construction of the solo from the beginning to the end, and this was one of the most important things.
Interesting.
In music and in every type of art, you think if you write a story, the story needs to be interesting from the beginning to the end. You can have also the best character, the best idea, but in the end, if in the middle of the story the idea starts to don't make sense with the concept you started with the subjects, the story don't work. Sorry for my English.
No,
I'm trying to explain.
No, it can start to fall apart if it's not structured properly from beginning to end.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense.
It's like we've said many a time. It's got to be its own song.
Kind of, yeah.
It has to have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And there are a lot of guys who had a lot of speed, but boy, they would end bad. Or in the middle, just kind of go awry.
Just kind of stumbles before it picks itself back up. Yeah.
And just blazing to just make a lot of notes that didn't really fit, But yeah.
Yeah. This is as a difficult part of music. And also, I teach guitar now. I love to teach guitar from a long time. This maybe is another topic. But I often put focus in this aspect because it's very easy now to talk about scale, modes, go faster. And like you said, it's easy to see guys to play faster because especially in the recent years, it started to be much more easier to learn about that. But this aspect about how to develop it's also called in a jazz area telling story, the telling story concept.
I like it.
Yeah,
it can be more difficult to develop, and also to study. It's easy to study a scale if you want to study a scale. Okay, it is a scale, these are the notes, like play up and down the fretboard, the neck. Okay, it's difficult for a technical perspective, but it's a clear concept. It's more difficult to study and to develop clearly the concept about telling story, how to develop with sense a musical idea.
Yeah,
because in the end the music, the notes don't have sense. Music is a language. If you think, what is the sense of the notes of the music? Nothing for a perspective.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, you can. It may be easier for a lot of guys to be very technically proficient than it is to be creative, And I think you need to be creative in order to write the story in solo form,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very creative. It's still very creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why,
You definitely need to interview him.
Yeah, we'd love to. We would love to.
That's why, when I think of Yngwie Malmsteen, let's just take him because Yngwie just blazes,
right?
But there's something behind that has set him apart from all those other guys that have ever tried to really do what he does. And one thing is that when you really listen to his stuff, you can tell that those are thought out. Those are
right. It's just not a random.
It's not just a thing
collection of notes,
and then him just blazing to no end. And he incorporates all that crazy vibrato, and he just it very much rides on whoever it is. What is it? Is it Bach? No, who is it? What is his based off of? Gretchen actually said it to us.
Oh, really?
And I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like Vivaldi or anything. It was
Bach or Beethoven or Paganini or something.
He was influenced about his genre is considered neoclassic,
yes.
But he was more influenced by the Baroque era.
Baroque.
Of sure. Yeah, he has a few influenced by Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven was more the classic era. He have influenced more about of sure. of course, Vivaldi and Vivaldi.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, some licks. It's exactly he took some licks from Vivaldi. You know.
Sure. I mean, you can't play that style without stealing from somebody that's been dead for 1800 years. But you know, I look at it like, you know, that's why he's still here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because his songs are very thought out.
Right. Yeah. There's some thought behind his performance.
Yeah. So, you know, you take a guy like that, and he has longevity, and then you take a guy like Ace Frehley, who's on the other end of the spectrum,
completely different,
and
yet has the same longevity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, you are talking now about Yngwie Malmsteen, and it's interesting and hilarious because after Ace Frehley, I start to listen Yngwie Malmsteen.
Wow.
It's true.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow.
I couldn't have picked a better guy.
No, you couldn't have. You couldn't have. So, my question was going to be, after you got into Kiss and Ace was the reason that you really started to get into guitar, did you put together a band with some friends and do a lot of Kiss covers and music like that, or what was your next step after you started to get into the guitar?
I tried to make a band, yes, but I had another friend of mine who was also a singer, and he was Paul Stanley, and I was Ace Frehley, you know. But we, yes, but we never make a real Kiss cover band.
Whoa.
Then I started to have other projects, but I never play Kiss live. I never play one song of Kiss live.
Really?
If I need to, yeah.
Oh, I guess that's too bad. You know, I don't know. So what?
It's true.
Yeah. What type of material were you when you actually started to play out live? What kind of material were you doing at that point?
When I started to play Kiss?
No, when you actually started to play music live in front of people with other bandmates, what kind of material were you playing? What kind of music?
Let me think. I think I made some cover band, probably, yeah, and I remember, but about a very bad Italian music, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think
because in Italy we don't have the culture in Italy for rock music. We would like to have, but in the end of the day, the culture in Italy is for classical music and for some very bad and cheesy pop music, you know, then terrible. But don't let me think about that because I become sad.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
He's going to leave the interview and he's going to go start a Kiss cover band. You know?
Yeah.
Well, it would be interesting in between songs.
That would
also.
Oh my God, that would be funny.
Because the broken English would be different.
Yes.
Hearing the Paul Stanley guy talk with a heavy Italian accent in between songs, but it being a Kiss tribute band, it would be the European version.
Right. That would be.
Yeah.
I like
exactly.
it. I love it. I think you should do it.
I will do in the future.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, you had a cheesy Italian pop cover band, and then where did it go from there? Where and when did you start developing the style that you play now, which is very interesting and could be very, as you said, influenced by Yngwie, but it's different. I was watching you play, and I think we've seen a lot of people that play this fast and the sweep and the tapping and everything. But your style seems, and your melodies and everything seem to be different than most. And I want to know where you started, and outside of Yngwie or on top of Yngwie, what were more of your influences, and especially melodically, because your structure is different too, and it's very cool and very interesting.
Thank you, man. Okay, let me finish the story.
Sure.
Okay, after Ace Frehley, I started to play Yngwie. Because I remember my dad started to say, but Ace is not a very great guitar player. And I said, no, he is the best guitar player in the world, I said. No, but you must listen other guitar players also, not only him, because I was obsessed with keys, and I learned by ear every solo of Ace, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then I discovered Malmsteen, and I said, fuck, I can play like that.
Wow.
Yeah, oh my God. And then I want to shred, I said, you know. And then I tried to play fast on the guitar, and I wasn't able, because I wasn't only able to play some licks of Ace, and also badly, you know. And then was difficult to move from that style to another approach of guitar. Was very different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to say, I can play fast. Then the fault is not mine, is the guitar is not good for play fast. Then a friend of my dad said, if you make your fretboard, your neck scalloped,
mm-hmm.
okay, like Yngwie, you can play very fast, because Yngwie plays very fast because he have the neck like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. Then I went to a luthier, and I had the fretboard scalloped, you know.
I did notice that, and I was going to ask you if your dad, being a blues guy, played a scalloped neck, you know, because you never see that. So it wasn't scalloped when he was playing it, but you went and had the neck scalloped when you were into Yngwie. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. I know. Maybe also Jimi Hendrix used the scalloped fretboard. I heard. I'm not sure.
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
I don't think.
No.
Richie Blackmore.
Blackmore for sure.
Richie Blackmore. Yeah, I hear also Jimi Hendrix, but I'm not sure.
Wow, I'll have to look into that.
Someone said.
We'll have to find out.
We'll have to look into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, I had the fretboard scalloped, and I was ready to shred, but I needed to learn. And then in the beginning, I tried to look in some American didactic video, you know, instructional video,
mm-hmm.
because I started to learn something about that. And very soon, when I started to be interested in virtuosistic things on the guitar, I start to like also the two hand tapping fingering, you know,
mm-hmm.
technique, two hand tapping technique. And was impressed, I remember, about a video of a guitar player is called Dave Salentano. I don't know if you know him.
No, I don't think I do.
Say the last name again.
Dave Salentano is an Italian surname. Celentano. Dave Salentano.
Huh. No. We'll have to look him up.
And he is specialized on instructional DVD and books. He's a teacher mainly. And he plays like Jennifer Batten, you know,
mm-hmm.
with that kind of approach. But I think also a little bit more advanced with the right hand. And I saw a little video of him, was a preview of instructional video. And I said, my God, I like this kind of tone of this kind of timbre on the guitar, and I want to learn that. Then I started to be interested in shred guitar, rock-oriented shred guitar. Then I studied this kind of tapping. Then I studied a little bit of Steve Vai, Giusto Triani, classic guitarist. You must know for to develop a rock the technique. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But immediately I wanted immediately to develop my voice, you know, my voice on the instruments. I think because I already tried to do that when I wanted to be a painter. Okay. And then I started to study technique in the beginning. But always thinking, okay, this is the technique, are the elements of music, but now I need to figure out how to use these elements for for explain my concept, my musical idea, you know?
Yeah, and were you seeing any instructors at this point, or you were doing this all on your own through instructional videos and things?
In the beginning, I saw a lot of instructional, of course, and I also went to a music school, specializing guitar in electric guitar and this kind of approach, and that helped them a little bit, yes, of course. And but how I can say, it's important. Was immediately important to me study some concept. Could be also an exercise, you know, but okay, I have these things. Now I need to figure out how to use, you know.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that because often guitar player can be easy to study a lot of things and develop a lot of licks and play them like an exercise, but in the end that approach didn't work very well for a musical perspective, you know.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Then I immediately said, okay, I need to develop my personal concept, my idea. Of course, also the arts helped me for this idea. I mean, I think about harmony in terms of colors, for instance, you know. I think about blend chords and blend harmonies, like in terms of colors, like a blend, like to blend different colors. It's the same technique to me, you know. Then I immediately started to like harmony. Melody in the second moment, but because when I was painting, I like the use of the colors. I was very focused in the use of colors. You know, how to blend them, how to develop different techniques. Also, the painting, like watercolor mixed with pencil, mixed with oil color.
Oh, mixed medium kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, and when I go to play, I realize that I use the same concept. For instance, I like to mix the technique. Also, when I play guitar, I like to mix modern guitar techniques like tapping, legato, economies with picking, hybrid picking, because are different timbre, you know, different shadows. Makes sense.
Wow.
English is very
no, it's good, and I really, you know, I'm reading Santana's book right now, and he also thinks in terms of colors when it comes to sound. Oh, absolutely, and that's why he's such a soulful, spiritual player as well. You know, it's more than just notes, and it's more than just melody, and it's, you know, it's deeper. It's color. It's feeling. You know,
that's a guy that will hold a note until the power's shut off.
Yes, but it's what color note is
exactly.
it? You know?
Him and Buddy Guy, they could run a contest.
There you go.
Yes, and I think that aspect of art make a big influence on my vision about music.
Yeah.
You know, then I was thinking, mix a technique in art. Then I developed mixed technique on guitar. I like to mix different technique in the same line, you know. I make a line, make a melody, can be a solo, can be a lick. Okay, I use often 3 different technique mainly. Depends also the style of the music I'm playing, but very often I mix the technique because I want to have different colors during the same line, you know, different timbre.
Yeah.
Another important aspect is the harmony and how to blend the harmony, you know. And because I was very interested in how to use the colors and how to blend the colors in my works, I start to develop a lot of interest about harmony, and especially about the technique of blend different harmony together in a good way, you know. Then using common notes, for instance, the most easy things for blend two harmony is find common notes, you know, and that's note make a bridge between the two different harmonies. And with the color is the same. You can have a you can have a red color and a blue color. You can blend the two color mixing in the middle, you know.
Right.
I'm trying to explain in English, but I realize that are not very easy things to say also in Italian. Then in English is much more difficult to me, you know. But I'm trying.
No, it's I totally get your concept, you know. And
okay.
You know, I mean, red and
then to me is
red
the
and blue
same.
is what, purple, right?
Yeah,
red
it's
and blue
purple.
is purple. Yeah.
Exactly. The purple is the bridge.
Yes.
Okay, for mix the two color. The common note is like the purple in music, you know.
Okay.
It's the same technique. In the end, the rules are the same. You know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, I heard that, you know, when he would like take major and minor scales and put them together. And a lot of his blues technique came from that. And guys would be like, you know, where did he come up with that? Even though it was just two simple scales, you know, or, you know, whatever he was doing, he was constantly intertwining those two together. To kind of come up with that own style that he so famously had.
And I think it, you know, you could also apply this in some other way that, you know, I'm always constantly learning this by playing with another friend of mine who is so good at this. But you can play 4 or 5 different chords without in pretty much the same position without barely moving your hands, and it's so economical because there are so many shared notes in those chords that you don't have to move a lot. And it sounds huge because there's like open strings involved, and there's, you know, there's notes that the same note belongs in every chord, and it's very economical. But those are, I guess, kind of like the bridge notes between the chords, as what Daniela was saying. You know?
Yeah. Maybe with the piano it's more easy to do these things because the visualization of the notes on the instruments on the piano is much more easy than the guitar. And then a guitar player are very often use shape and moving the shape like blocks up and down on the fretboard, on the neck, you know, because it seems more natural on the guitar. But sometimes for a musical side, the sound can be not very cool. And of course, stay in position and find a relation between the chords using common notes or moving up and down about half step, you know, create for sure a more melodic harmony.
Absolutely.
This in the end, the harmony. In the beginning, the harmony was only melody, was a different melody together. You know, polyphony music was counterpoint in the beginning, and then become the harmony we know. But in the beginning, it was melody, and for this reason, the best harmony often is the most melodic also. Makes sense?
I totally believe that. I totally believe that. Yeah, I think that probably gives you the ultimate structure and the ultimate pleasingness in the end product. Yeah, I believe that. So,
good.
Yeah.
So we got to talk some gear.
Oh, we definitely have to talk some gear. I mean, I love theory.
Let me finish the story about my current playing, okay?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Because I love the whole theory behind it.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yes. Then I had this period where I needed to develop the modern techniques. Then I listened a lot Divai, also Joe Petrucci a little bit, Giuseppe Satriani, Envy, of course. Then Jason Becker also. This was my big influence for developing the technique. He's also my friend. And
wow, nice.
Then I move a little bit more to rock fusion, Greg Howe, you know.
Yeah.
I remember I was listening to the album of Greg House and said, how is it possible to play so cool like that? It's impossible. you know? And I said, okay, now I will start to record myself and then figure out how I am after the recording. Mm-hmm. And I was terrible, you know. I don't have consistency. And then I said, no, I need to be like Greg Howe, you know. I need to arrive to this type of consistency in my playing. I wanted that type of consistency, you know. And then recording myself was a super helpful exercise to develop the playing, especially for that kind of approach. Mm-hmm. And little by little, I move more to listen more fusion guitar player like Scott Anderson and Scott Anderson and John Scofield, fusion guitar player. Mm-hmm. And then more jazz also, more like Charlie Christian, Grant Green, recently Jimmy Rainey, very bebop guitar player, very diverse. He's doing the years, you know.
Very diverse influences.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty, you know, hugely encompassing. I mean, there's a lot of influences in there. That's great. I mean,
but Ace is my main.
That's crazy.
That is so cool. You know, I truly believe that a spaceship landed and Greg Howe got off of it. Because I've watched that guy. I've had his albums. I've watched that guy play, and I haven't seen two notes repeated yet. And there's only 12 that you can do. And I don't know how that guy does it.
Yeah.
Just an amazing player. And honestly, he does some fast stuff. But when he does the slow stuff, I'm like, how is he coming up with that? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, what is he thinking about, man? It drives me insane.
Exactly. Where is your mind?
Yeah, where's the thought process?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then when you see Daniela, it's the same thing.
Right.
You know, you're seeing the same exact thing, and I'm going, where are these notes coming from?
Yeah, I mean, but his structure to me is notably different than a lot of others. You know, whether it's, you know, the runs or the melodies or something. It's just there's a different influence than a lot of these other guys, and it's really refreshing.
And it's tasteful.
It's very that's the point. I mean, I personally don't like a lot of shredding. You know, sometimes it could be too many notes. But I started to listen to Danielle, and I'm going, I enjoy this a lot more. It just seems that it's
thank you, man.
It seems like it's more melodic to my ear, yet slightly different melodies.
It keeps you interested.
It absolutely keeps you interested.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Because when you start hearing a guy and it's just okay, you know, we're at note 500.
Right.
And you start to kind of glaze over a little bit. Because
I absolutely do.
It kind of starts to run together. Mm-hmm. But when you're listening to him, you're going, man, that, you know, you hear the hook and then it's out and then you're back in and then it's like, whoa, what was he doing there? You know.
No, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's all because of Ace Frehley.
Wow.
Yeah, only for him. No, kidding. Talk about, was interesting what you said about when you said where it is not come from, you know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, very often, in the end, it's in the end of the day, it's more easy to find out where it is not come from. For instance, a lot of the notes come out for the chord. Then sometimes I show to some guys some of my licks. Sometimes more of the more crazy licks. In the end, I show to them these are chord tones put in a strange position, you know, but with few notes from the scale. but in the end are more about chord tones and how you use the intervals for create a sound.
Interesting.
You know, guitar players are very focused, especially in rock, very focused on, also in blues, focus on scale.
Yes.
And but I said to all my students, you can know all the scale of these words, but if you, in the end you use the scale in the same way, for instance, play the scale like that. Okay, I have the piano here, and the sound, every scale sound very similar, you know, because you listen always the same melodic movement, seconds. Okay, like I can play this scale. I can play this scale. Very similar,
Sure.
because the melodic movement is the same. I think the important thing is to use intervals, you know?
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, is the intervals create the colors, create the chord, create the melody, create the melodic profile. Intervals from the chords.
Interesting.
It's it's easy. In the end, it's much more easy than use the scale, you know?
I guess once you get used to thinking that way, it probably is, and it makes it more interesting. You know, it sets you apart from everyone else. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
For instance, I was I remember a couple of years ago, I was studying some score. I was studying Stravinsky. Was one of his first work for orchestra when he was very young, and in some point he wrote a line. So it was crazy, and I said, "What the fuck? What you are doing, man?" I said, "What is this sound?" I said, "How he did that sound?" Then I go to check the score, and I realized after a little analysis, he was only playing a couple of chords in arpeggio with very strange intervals, but from the chords, and using a couple of passing tone. Okay, the two chords was very interesting. Was an unusual connection of two chords. Was blended very, very well. But in the end, I said, it's much more easy. In the end, you know, was only chords in arpeggio using cool intervals and very few passing notes.
Very interesting.
If we go to check a lot of jazz guitar solo, not guitar solo, jazz solo in general are like that. Many chord tones who give sense harmonically and notes around. In the end, I think this system can make sense in music.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to make sense for you because I really was enjoying what I was hearing more so than other people that play this type of style, and that's probably why. That's probably why it was keeping my attention, you know, because there was something different about it.
Because of the intervals.
Right, and it's just the way he structures things, and yeah, I learned so much when we interview people. I just learned so much.
You know, you think about, like, when you see it, you go, well, how in the world? You know,
how did you come up with that? And this is one of the answers.
Yeah.
This is how you come up with that.
He changed the intervals in it because, like he said, when you just do it, it starts to take on that scale sound.
Scales are scales, and so you can run a scale fast. So what?
Exactly.
You know? But yeah, this is thinking about it from an entirely different way.
And this is probably why Steve Vai gave out the recommendation like he did, because Vai writes like that. Because, you know, that whole Zappa background that he had, it was like throw that metronome out the door, you know, because
and
Frank
probably scales with it. You know?
Yeah, Frank Frank was on another plateau with that.
Right.
And then, you know, so Vai has this weird, you know, his songs, they kind of have these crazy hooks in them that you kind of like go, he's not just shredding. They're actually interesting, you know, and he writes in all these semitones and everything because he's using the tremolo and, you know, so I can see why he's like, you know, when he hears Daniele play, he's probably like, hey, man, this is cool.
Right.
Maybe. Yes, in the end, it's important to find a balance, you know, I think, between technique, if you like to use, and contents and meaning of the notes you are playing. I always try to find a balance, you know.
Sure, like
otherwise the effect can be, like you said, okay, you can listen a lot of notes. Can be also cool, can be also well done, you know, can be also very good technically. But in the end, we always need to have a concept where we are playing. Someone talk about sentiments, you know. Someone talk about, I think in terms of idea, concepts, develop in a musical perspective. And if we don't have an creative idea, the music kind of seems more static, more. It's difficult sometimes, especially for also. We was talking about improvisation. Also, for compose a song, music. I always think, okay, this idea have a meaning or not, or are only some notes together but without life. You know, when I try to create a line for my composition, a melody can be a passive, can be a chord progression also, can be a couple of melodies together, counterpoint like I did in my last album. Okay, these notes are alive, have a meaning or no? If in the end I realize then are only a couple of notes died, you know, without life. Okay, I didn't use. If I realize, okay, this note with this idea can become alive, you know, can become. How we can explain, man? Help me, because my English is very bad.
You're looking for the song to have life, to take on a life of its own, to have meaning, to mean something, to convey a thought, an emotion. You know, I mean, that's what makes music good, when it can convey something like that, and people can, whether consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously, you know, get something from it, some understanding or feeling from it. You know, that's what makes a composition a good composition, you know, when it spurs emotion and things like that.
I think if it would be like if you were just doing scales all the time, it would like be talking like with all vowels or all consonants. Like you're not telling anything, you're just mumbling.
Right, there's no meaning behind it.
You're just mumbling words. Right. If you had to put it in words perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You know, there's nothing behind it.
Right.
So every now and then you got to throw in a consonant so you actually build a word.
You have to make a word, right?
Yeah. You know,
Vanna, I'll take an E, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, so this is awesome. This is now we have the concept behind the player and what his influences were and how he thinks and everything. So, okay, what helps you create? What is your gear? We know there's a
Strat that's scalloped.
There's a very near and dear Strat involved. So, you know, you can tell us a little bit about the Strat, and then what else is in your arsenal? I mean, you know, amps, effects, things like that. What have you found works best for you, and what do you like the sound of?
Okay. Good question. In the end of the day, I always think, and during the years, I'm moving a lot in this direction. Is the hand, you know, needs to make the sound and the tone, and especially like we was talking now, you need to have an idea about what to play, because if the musical idea makes sense, it's work also if the tone is not super great. It makes sense a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, this for say, I'm not very focused on instrumentation, you know, of gear. Not too much. I'm not very interested in gear. I know a lot of guitar players loves gear, you know, but I don't like too much about about gear. If I go in a guitar store, I don't try guitar, I don't try amps, it's not interesting. But I don't want to say are not important, of course. Then let me explain. I wanted to make this introduction because to me, the notes are always the most important things. The secondary is the gear. But let me talk about my guitar, my amps, things like that.
We know it's all in the hands first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And,
yes. I think it's in the hands and also in some little details.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean, often guitar player put focus on guitar and amps because clearly is the basic two instruments. But to me, it's very important the strings and the action.
Mm-hmm.
These two things are very important to me, and can make a big difference. For instance, I'm using 11 strings.
Whoa.
Okay,
Are not
wow.
very light. Are not very light,
Mm-hmm.
for shred.
Yes.
But to me, I realize that I like this type of strings, and I don't like also to have the strings very low.
Really?
I don't have low action.
Wow.
I don't. Yeah.
So you play 11s and you have the action high.
Yeah.
Wow.
For this reason, if you see me make some strange face when I'm playing, it's because I have when I'm playing because I have pain on my fingers.
Oh my! Well, of course. Are you tuning to a standard 440E?
Yeah, in standard.
Oh my lord!
Wow.
So you have 11s,
I've seen some of the bends that he does,
and he does crazy. Well, the scallop neck will help the bends.
Mm-hmm.
A little, yes. The
Little.
scallop helps a little bit.
Yeah, but
everyone who try to play my guitar, said, "Oh my God, seems very light that guitar." Okay, in the beginning, then try to play for 1 hour, and then you will realize the strings are 11. But in the first impression, the strings seems more light than 11.
Mm-hmm.
But because good things about this type of neck is in the end the strings can seem more light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to me, only these little things make a lot of difference on the tone in the end. A lot more than an amplifier to me. I'm sure.
Wow.
I'm sure because everybody I can play also with a very shitty amplifier, and you like my English.
I love it.
A lot of
Well, call it like you see it.
I can use a very shitty amplifier, but everybody say, okay, your tone is always the same.
See,
Because I realize that these little details, action, strings, can make the tone to me.
That's that,
Yeah.
and like I said, a lot of it's in the hands too.
Yeah.
What I did I notice something different about your pick, your plectrum? Is there something special about that?
Different people told me about that. I don't know. When I started to play guitar, when I was focused on technique, I like to pick every notes. I had a period where I was listening a lot of Paul Gilbert, that approach on the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing a lot of alternate picking. Then I started to play more other kind of technique like tapping. We said like more sweeping, more legato, for have a more fluid sound.
Mm.
And in the end, I started to. I wasn't use at all alternate picking. I back to use alternate picking most recent years for play more jazz, for have more that kind of approach.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably my right hand position is not very good in the end. Because I use very few alternate picking. And then the position can be a little bit strange, I know. But this is the reason, I think.
Well, your position, I don't know that there's, unless you're, classically trained and you're supposed to follow that regiment, and there is a right and a wrong theoretically position. Yes. I don't think there's any real right or real wrong. Whatever you develop, I think that develops as your style develops, and either it helps your style develop, or your style requires you to play in this position. But I don't really think there's any right or wrong. So you can't say it's terrible. It's what works for you, and it's what makes you unique. And
yes, the cool things about I think modern electric guitar is. The modern electric guitar, especially the modern techniques, are not a lot of story. It's not like the classical guitar, who has a more tradition, and also the position of the hands. The technique is more stable, in a rock guitar playing, but also in jazz, we can see a lot of different approach. An example can be the position of the right hand of Marty Friedman. It's very strange, for instance.
That is so crazy that you said that. I was getting ready to say that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Marty Friedman's hand is so bent, you would think that years ago he would have been like, I was diagnosed with bad carpal tunnel and I can't play like that anymore.
Right.
No. He has been playing like that. It is literally bent like almost 90 degrees. His arm.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange.
It is.
I don't know how he can play like that.
I know, and it angles his pick in such a way. It's kind of like the other way that you would normally hold it. Right. It's the other way because he's had his hands angled.
It's you're coming at it like 90 degrees differently almost.
Yes.
It's weird. Yeah.
Who, by the way, just so our audience knows, great friends with Jason Becker.
Okay.
And I've talked about...
They were Cacophony,
They
right?
were.
Yes.
And I've talked about Jason... Well, we've talked about Jason on this show because I just saw his documentary, which is a couple of years old, called Not Dead Yet.
Yeah.
And you said you've met him, correct? You've
what,
met,
sorry?
You've met Jason?
Yeah. I met him, yes. I usually go also to see him... when I'm in California. Now I'm in California. I'm moving. I make a back and forth to Italy, in that period. And we are friends, and he's super cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Super cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's an amazing.
First off, he's outlived any other person that's ever had ALS.
Right.
Exactly.
I was going to say it's an amazing survival story.
Yeah, and he's still writing music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know he was working on his new album from different years recently, and I'm curious to hear what he's doing musically.
Wow.
It's amazing. I don't even know.
Yeah.
That it would be amazing if Daniela could be a part of executing that album.
Oh,
that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wow, it's all in the hands and setting up the guitar properly for you. So it's no I have to have this amp, or I prefer this amp, or I prefer this pedal because it gets me the tone that I want. Your focus on tone, it seems to center around the guitar and the action and the strings, and that is
that's
and
phenomenal. The music idea also.
And so of course the music idea.
You know what I like? You know what I like about this is because 90% of the guys out there, they're all like, I gotta have this. Right. I gotta have this. I gotta have this.
What's the flavor
He's
of the
just
month?
like, whatever the hell you have in a store, just hook me up. It's this guitar with these strings. Let's go.
Right. That is awesome.
That is the most amazing thing I've heard in years.
He has the least expensive cartage fees out of anyone we know, because all he needs is his guitar.
I know. It's like the back line. The guy comes in with a back line. You're like, most guys would just go, I'm not playing here tonight.
Right.
I'm leaving. And he's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Plug it in. Let's go.
That is fantastic. Wow.
And I'm still using the same guitar. The same guitar I'm starting to play because I realized that I know very well every fret of that guitar.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know. seems when I play other guitars, okay, I can play also better because my Fender have a lot of problems. It's not it's not very good for a lot of reasons. The tuning is not always good. I have problem on some frets. But in the end, I know every note in the fretboard, how the sound of every note, and then I already know where I need to go to play a note for have some effects, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can play other guitars, and I can play also more clean, more faster, more clean, of course, and more in tune also. But it's not the same to me, you know. Mm. And if I put the action more low, I can play much more faster, for sure. But and more clean. But it's not the same, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think.
It's like an old pair of jeans.
It is, and I think that's that's a big part of your musical voice. You know, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Is I feel I have my voice, especially for when I need to play my composition. Because if I'm jamming, you know, if I'm playing a standard, I can play also another guitar. It's not a big deal. But for when I need to play my composition where my voice is much more clear,
mm-hmm.
Definitely I need a guitar because I know I can find put the focus in
right
in the best way.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what year is that guitar? Do you know?
What years? I think is 84.
84. Okay.
Mm.
So
interesting.
Also the pick is important. Of course, we can use a lot of different picks for have a lot of variety
mm-hmm.
of timbre. Then you need to figure out what is the best for the situation. I was used to use very expensive picks, you know, and recently I started to play more and more the download picks, and now recording myself, I try to do a lot of tests, and I realized, okay, download is my favorite pick, and I wanted to say also the pick makes the difference. You know, it's a lot of combination on the guitar, especially because it's an electric instrument. You know, mm-hmm. It's not like a clarinet. The clarinet, okay, you have the instrument and your mouth for play, and you don't have too much things between you
right.
and the instrument.
Right.
If you are playing a classical instrument, when you are playing an instrument like guitar, the elements will make the tone in the end. It's a lot. It's too much, you know. Mm-hmm. The pick, the strings, the finger, the guitar, the wood, the amplifier, the cable, the power cable also, you know. It's a lot of things, too much things to me. And then I said, okay, better if I put focus on my musical idea and how to figure out that idea on the how to figure out how to play that idea and to make it real.
So you said Dunlop is your favorite pick. Do you know which? I mean, they must make 1,000 picks. Do you know which one it is?
Yes, it's true. It's true. For sure, the Jazz Free. The Jazz Free, the little one.
I don't know. The is it a jazz type of pick? A little one?
I don't know. It's very famous. It's called Jazz Free. Oh. Like the pick Eric Johnson used. He has also his model, for instance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's. I'm not familiar with everything they make, and I really don't know.
They have a ton.
I know they have a ton of things, but it's a very easily available Dunlop pick, which is very cool.
Yes.
You know? It's because we've had pick manufacturers on before, and we've come to find that they do make a difference. For me, I think the thickness makes a bit more difference than the material, I think, because I know a heavier pick, you just get that, little extra clang, that bite, that initial attack from a heavier pick, if that's what you want. And the softer pick is just, it's a little more compressed. It's a little easier, everything is just kind of
rounded off.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah. Paul Gilbert said with the light picks, because he went to light picks, he gets a flap out of it. He gets more of the flap because the pick actually, it has to kind of give.
Right.
Yeah, so it isn't hitting the string, it's kind of flapping the string, it kind of rolls over it a little bit. It's interesting.
I understand.
It's interesting about Paul Gilbert because, and I'll just say this because of the pick thing, he wants to slow his playing up. So he went to a huge neck, a 12-inch radius. He plays with 11s or 12s, and he uses a thin pick, but yet the guy still shreds like a machine. I'm thinking to myself, he may as well just embrace it at this point. And
right,
just,
right. You're a machine.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
crazy. Also, I think he has clear how the tone he wants in the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, too.
He's clear in his mind, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would have to be pretty developed at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing forever, and
Right.
So what an interesting story, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Danielle, before we go, anything else you want to touch base on? I'm assuming because gear is not so important to you, there aren't any kind of endorsements or anything that you would like to share with us, equipment-wise.
Let me think. I have a pedal, a distortion pedal.
Oh, okay.
It's from an Italian company. It's called 11 Electrics.
11 Electrics.
And it's a very cool distortion for have a very fluid tone, very good for play with a modern approach for playing legato. It's very, very fluid, very creamy. Makes sense.
Okay.
These terms.
Yep.
Sometimes I invent terms hoping it's the real terms.
It is.
Yes. Okay, good. It's creamy. Okay.
Yes.
And that pedal saved me a lot of time when I needed to make gig. I need to travel. I can't have my pedal amplifier, and that pedal saved me always.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm not a super lover of endorser, Then I don't have too much.
Well, it's nice that you can go in with a minimal amount of things and get the sound that you want to convey your message and your feelings, and it's quite obvious that
is the things I try to do. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Well, it comes across on the videos for sure.
We'll put that link up. We'll have that link to the pedal.
Yeah, yes.
And we'll have a link to his website.
11 Electric, I think it was.
Yes.
So we'll put that up, and
that'll stay with your show
in perpetuity,
which means forever.
Forever.
Cool. Thank you.
That's
man.
Great. Well, Daniela, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. It was
sir.
A wonderful story, and God, go Ace Frehley.
Man.
Hey, Frehley, we need to interview him.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be very cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, Danielle, again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you to you guys. Thank you to you.
Have a great rest of the day or evening or whatever time it is, wherever you are.
He's in California, so it's 3:56.
Awesome.
Exactly.
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 o'clock. Well, go have a cocktail or an espresso or whatever you want to have, and
yes, a spritz. Spritz.
There you go. And continue making the wonderful music, man. And I'm gonna go dive into some more of it. It's very cool.
Man. Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
And thank you right back. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Well, and there you have the story.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, we put the little disclaimer. His English is very broken, but he conveyed it.
You know, I honestly, I don't think there's any need for the disclaimer. If you really listen, attentively, everything was there. I loved it. You know, I don't even think we need to talk about that.
No, that's a true artist, by the way, because he's like, the equipment, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's this guitar, these strings, and these two things called hands.
Right. Right, with all 12 fingers, I swear to God.
He's not caught up into that world. He is like, nope, this is how I like it. This is the way I want the instrument. Yeah, I could probably play faster on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this may, whatever. You think this isn't a crappy amp. This is
it's
a good
like
amp.
He's so incredibly gifted and well studied and well practiced, and yet
he's not caught up in those things.
But he still has his guitar set up to give him a challenge, because I could play faster if it was
11s with high
smaller
action.
strings and lower action, and it's like, well, okay, you've already impressed us. Now one of these days he's just going to go to 9s and he's going to lower the action and it's just going to blow the doors off everything. Yes, I don't know, but like he's still in for a challenge, and he's still like physical pain when some of those bends are phenomenal bends.
Yes, they are.
And it's like, wow, that's 11s.
I'll see how many. I'll see what kind of videos we can throw up there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm sure our listeners will go out and search this stuff out. And I forgot to ask him. I know he's got at least a couple of releases out there.
Yes, so, and he gave me a link to some of the stuff, but I'll make sure that we get that all put on.
Yeah, he's not just on YouTube. He's not just a YouTube guy. There are some releases out there. So again, go support your non-famous yet fantastic musicians that we find.
Well, it's when Steve Vai's making that recommendation.
Yeah,
it could go either really, really cool or be so bizarre that you would never want to you'd be like, I don't know. It's like a guy hitting a pan.
It's it must be great because Steve said it is, but I don't get the concept.
Yeah,
this is not that.
This is not that.
Wow. Yeah.
No. He picked a home run on this one.
Yeah. It's pretty fantastic. So check him out. I'm going to continue to.
Yeah. So cool. Until next time, my friend.
I was going to.
I am Mick Marcelino.
Yes, you are.
And
I'm still not. And we're saying.
But you didn't say.
Oh, Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying.
Onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmpsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.